Hey, what is good everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to draw your very first quad. So yeah, without wasting any time, let's get into it and let's start coding. So in the previous video, we basically set up the foundation for us to be able to draw our very first triangle. However, we want to do a little bit of some refactoring to make this a little bit better. Now, what we're doing right now is essentially we just passing in vertices directly to our shader, right? However, if you look at it, a triangle basically can hold more than one information, right? Or let me rather say a vertex in a triangle can hold more than one information, right? It can hold position information, it can hold color information, it can hold texture information. So we want to create a data type or a data structure that can basically accommodate for all these other different attributes within our vertex, right? So to do that, I created a new file called defines.h within our engine directory. So just create a file named called defines.h. It's a header file, and then inside that header file just include cmd, and then from there we're going to define our structure, our data structure, when we're going to call it a vertex, right? And like I said, a vertex can hold more than one information. So in our case, we're going to hold position information and color information. So position is going to be of type vector float 3, and that's just going to be called position. And then the color is going to be of type float 4, and then that is going to be named color, like so. And then I'm just going to close it off right there. And then in order for this header file to be able to be referenced within your Swift UI files, we need to come down to our project settings and then simply go down to both settings, and here just search bridg bridge, and then you'll see something that says Objective C bridging header, and all you got to do is just double click it here and then just specify the directory in which your defines.header file is located, and then just click enter, and then Xcode will handle the referencing and the linking and all of that juicy stuff. All right, so now back into the defines.header file. This is essentially the data structure that we're going to be using for drawing our primitives. Okay, so yeah, so now we can come back into the renderer and we can modify this array a little bit better now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this and I'm just going to paste it down here, and then instead of saying vector float here, I'm just going to define that new data type that we created. Okay, so I'm just going to do, let me just do this like so. All right, and then let me just make sure these comments align pretty much with each other, and then from there I'm just gonna multi-line select, and I'm gonna type in vrtx like so, right? And then you're gonna see I'm getting something here that says struct may not be available in this context. All right, so that is because I'm trying to reference this guy. Okay, so for some reason it's not being referenced just yet, so I don't know why. Okay, yeah, here it is. So vertex, and you can see it already shows the attributes that it takes, which is position and color, just like we defined within our defines.h. Okay, so all I'm going to do now, I'm just going to do this, and then I'm just going to multi-select again, and then I'm just going to say position. It's going to be this, and then I'm going to say color, it's going to be this, and I know that color is a vector float 4 like this, and then simply I'm just going to give it a black color. So all our vertices will be black, and then the last attribute here will be 1, the alpha will be 1, and then the position is going to be of type vector float 3, and then I'm just gonna say that, oh yeah, now I'm just gonna put in new coordinates here. Should I take these ones? Yeah, let's just copy paste these guys in here just so that you guys can see what has changed. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna paste those in there, and then I'm just gonna click save, and then I'm going to comment out that original array of vertices that we had before in the previous video, and then we're going to make use of this new one. And then I think I forgot some commas here, so I'm just going to put some commas there just to get rid of those errors, and I'm just going to space out these comments just so that we can have some room to breathe. And then we're going to change the memory layout input here to be of type vertex. So now we're getting the size of the vertex rather than the size of the vector float 3 that we passed in originally in the previous video. Okay, so let me just explain exactly what is happening here. So in the previous video, we only sent in the float 3, which contained the position for one vertex. Right now, we're now returning a new data structure, which then contains the position of that one vertex and the color information for that one vertex. So we're kind of sending two types of data at once to the shader, okay, using our vertex buffer. Okay, so that is essentially it in our renderer. All we got to do now is just click save and then go down to our shader file. Now in our shader file, we need to modify a few things. Number one, that will be the return type of our vertex shader, because now we have a new data type which is going to be called a vertex and rather than a float 3. So to get that working, we need to include that header file that we created in the beginning of the video, and that is called defines.h, which contains our new data structure called vertex. Okay, so we're going to make use of that data type within our shader file. So the first thing first is to change the float 3 to be of type vertex, like we passing it through our renderer. So essentially now we're receiving that vertex information, and all we got to do now is also create a new struct, and I'm going to call it fragment, and this struct is essentially just going to be the same implementation, right? It's literally just going to be the same thing. It's just that we give it a different name here, and then it's going to be of type float 3, actually type float 4 for the position, and we're going to have an attribute called position here, and then we're just going to close it off like this, and then we're going to have another float 4, and this one's going to be of type color, and then it's going to hold our color information. Now do notice that I said float 4 for the position here. This is required for whatever reason in Metal. I don't know why. I never really read the documentations, but if you don't make it a vector for a float 4, it's going to throw some errors, right? So just make sure that it's a float 4 for the position, especially if you're going to annotate it with this attribute at the end. That's so that it knows that this data contains this data type contains position information, because a vertex shader literally needs position information for your vertices, right? So yeah, so we're just letting it know through the data type that this data type does contain position data. So yeah, you'll find it there. So yeah, so now what we gotta do now in our vertex shader is to make use of this new data type that we created here, and we're gonna create a variable of type fragment, and then we're just gonna call it data. You can call it anything you want, and then we're gonna populate the information within that data, and we're gonna say position is equals to a new float 4. Since the float 4 of the positions that we passing in is of type vector float 3, we are saying that we want to convert that to a float 4 so that it can comply with our fragment data type. Okay, so then what we're gonna do now is just say vertices. Actually, I think there's a better way of doing this. Let's just say vertex here, and then we're gonna say input, and that's gonna be vertices at the vertex ID, and that's that. And then in here, all we simply have to say input dot position, and then just to fill out that last value there, we're just gonna set that one to 1. This one passes in X, Y, and Z, and then this fourth one we're just setting it, hard coding it to 1 to be equals to 1. All right, so after that we need to also populate the data for the color, and then we're gonna simply set that to input.color, and that is essentially it. And then the return type now simply changes to that data that we want to pass onto the fragment shader, and now the fragment shader has to take in that new data type, which is of type fragment, as our input, and then all we gotta return here is essentially the data color, right? The input.color. So we can simply say input.color like this, and that should work. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you guys something a little bit different, and you can see that we're getting an error here. That is because the return type is of type float 4. So we just need to change that to the new data structure, which is which is the fragment data structure, which we created up here. So that is it, and when I click save, it should get rid of all those errors. And then when we come back to our content view, we should see something, unless I broke something. That would be very sad. So we still have the same triangle, literally still have the same triangle. So if I change the color here and I set it to red, you're gonna see that it's still the same triangle. Nothing changed. However, there's something really cool that we've added, and that's the ability to use color passed in through the renderer, right? Rather than us having to change the color in the shader every time, we can pass in the color of each vertex through the shader. Right now it's black, so all you gotta do now in order to use those colors, all we have to do is just say input.color as our return float for in our fragment shader. Click save, and then come back here, and then you'll see that we'll see nothing. That's because our triangle is completely black, and the reason why it's black is because all the vertices here are black. So let me change the first vertex to be white, and then come back to the content view, and you'll see that it should be white. Okay, but now because the others are all black, let me just do this. Let me just populate the colors of all the other vertices, and then I believe now it should give us something beautiful to look at. There we go. So now we have this traditional triangle that you usually see in the traditional how to draw your very first triangle in game engine tutorials and stuff like that. So yeah, so now we're passing in color value through our renderer, and it goes straight to the shaders, and then the shader just spits it out the way that we specified within the renderer itself. So that is something that I wanted to get done and dusted with, and now we can basically modify this triangle so that we can now finally draw our very first quad. So how do we draw a quad? So go back to the renderer, and we just basically gonna duplicate this data. But before I duplicate it, let's just move the top part of our triangle, which is this guy. We're gonna move it to the top right here. Okay, to do that, these coordinates are in screen space from -1 to +1, with -1 being from the left, and then the +1 being the utmost right side of the screen. So we gotta do 1 here, and therefore it will just move that top vertex to be on the right side of the screen. And this is how it looks like now. So now we have this triangle, and now you can see that we have space here for another triangle. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna copy paste these vertices, and then I'm gonna say this is our second triangle, so the second triangle. Okay, and then this one, if I simply move it back, right, and then I come back here, you'll see that it's not being drawn. Okay, and we're getting an error, right? That error is simply because I needed to add a comma there. But if I save this now, you'll see that we still only see one triangle. Okay, that is because we told the renderer that we only rendering oh wait, hold on, that's not supposed to be there, because originally this was 3. So if I save that again, we should only see one triangle. Yeah, we should only see one triangle. It's just me, I was experimenting before I recorded the video. Sorry about that. But this is what you guys are gonna see. It's just one triangle. And if you want to see the other triangle, we simply just change this from the vertex count from 3 all the way to 6, because each triangle contains 3 vertices. So now we've accounted for the second triangle, and then when we come back to the content view, we'll see that second triangle being drawn on top of the other triangle. And all we gotta do here is simply just move this point here, and then this point up there. All right, so to do that, I am simply just going to say the first point, which is the one at the top, we're simply just gonna move it to the left like this, and then when I save that, it will be on the left like so. And then I'm gonna move this one that is on the bottom right to the top. So to do that, all I gotta do is just go back to the renderer, and then simply just changed it from a negative to a positive, and then save, and then it should be up. Let me see. So this is the third one, negative. So this would be positive x, and then positive y. yeah, it should be at the top, so I don't understand why it's not at the top. I guess I made a mistake somewhere. Okay, let me just reorder this. -1, -1, this will be the bottom left, and then this will be the top left, and then this one should be the top right. And then when I save this, then it should give us the triangle. Yeah, there we go. So I guess I had to reorganize it. I don't know, but yeah, it works now, right? So we have two triangles, and that is essentially just how you draw your quad. And now you can actually see them, that it's actually made up of two triangles. And also, if you wanted to get the wireframe view, I believe all you have to do is just come down to our render encoder here and just simply say render encoder dot fill mode, and then just set that to lines like this, save, and then come back, and then you should see only lines. Now our background is black, so you won't really see anything. Let me just change it to something lighter, like white. So let me just populate everything with that one value, and then boom, we should have a white background with our triangle vertices being drawn. And I don't understand why we're not seeing this other one here, but it's there. Okay, it's there. So yeah, that is simply how you draw a triangle. And I'm just gonna get rid of this line again. A quad. So that's essentially how you draw a quad, ladies and gentlemen. It's just simply made up of two triangles. And yeah, that is essentially it. So I guess I'll see you guys on the next video, whereby we'll finally be using our shaders to do something pretty amazing. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, do hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care and stay blessed.